Why, hello. Brent here for Geek Variants, cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, and more. And very excited to bring to you guys some more great Star Wars content, as well as we got X-Men 97 right around the corner, which probably be dropping the same exact time as Bad Batch, truth be told. And then on top of that, we have some great content dropping on Thursday with some Invincible, Friday, some Baldur's Gate, and Saturday, some solo leveling. So let's have some fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. I may be streaming by myself on my lonesome tonight, but let's enjoy the voyage while we can. Be happy with what we got. I got my energy drink. I'm here. Deadpool's my spirit animal. Let's have a good time. All right, guys. Brand here for Geek Variants. Love talking to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for checking us out, being a part of the channel, just, seeing what we got ongoing here. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Be sure to sound out in the chat when you guys want to holler at me. We can talk about all things geek because, man, we had a good day as Geeks Day. We had a really good day as Geeks, especially if you're a Star Wars fan with Star Wars The Acolytes trailer dropping. And boy, I got a bone to pick with myself and with a couple fans. First of all, why did nobody correct me about how stupid I am on the trailer breakdown? It was both on YouTube and on TikTok. YouTube as a short, and then TikTok is whatever they're called. TikToks? Is that just basic term for it? I don't understand TikTok. We just have the platform. I don't know how to use it or excel at it, but is what it is. Why did no one correct me in the fact that the time period that the Acolyte is taking place is the High Republic, not the Old Republic? I made a full trailer deep dive. I mean, like 7 minutes long, on top of a short that I made that nobody corrected me other than one individual. Only one person was like, hey, dude, you got your time periods mixed up. One happened thousands of years ago. The other one only happened like 50 to 100 years ago. So I had my whole Star Wars timeline mixed up on when this show takes place. So all the praise I was giving the Acolyte about how cool it is, how unique it is, now I have in my head, I'm like, yo, I just messed up like entirely because now I don't know concretely where things take place. Because now, with it being 50 to 100 years ago, we still have to acknowledge and try and figure out like we have Palpatine, who will not be alive for this unless it's 50 years ago. Palpatine could be a teenager when this drops, which would be a whole problem because in his solo novel, where he and Darth Plagueis, his master, are out doing things, Palpatine literally murks his whole family and then has a force maelstrom, which is just shooting so much lightning out of your fingertips that you create a giant lightning cloud that was so strong the entire Jedi Order felt the reverberation of his power just shooting out of his fingertips, and then for whatever reason decided, hey, let's do nothing about that. Let's just let that continue to brew and fester. But hey, it'll be fine, right? It wasn't. Spoiler alert. But that could happen. Plagueis could be in this plane of existence. We still have Darth Tenebrous, if it's 100 years ago, who should be alive, who was Plagueis' master. Like, things could be set in stone and characters that now have to be because you chose this time period. You should have chosen a time period that was vague, that was unexplored, that hasn't been touched. And I really want to like the Acolyte. I do. Everything geek I want to love. I want to enjoy. I want it to be good. I want it to be fun. I want it to be exciting. That being said, sometimes you have to look at things a bit critically. You can't just praise something just for the sake of you wanting to. You want things to be good, not only from a fan perspective, but from a critical perspective. And on top of that, this show, The Acolyte, it's literally dropping, and I mean literally, they're dropping the show during the same time period that The Boys, season 4, I believe, is coming out, and House of the Dragons season 2 is coming out, which we'll have both of those covered. So, per usual, shameless plug, be sure to hit that subscribe button or hit the follow button if you're on Twitch to go ahead and like let us know you want to watch those shows with us, talk about those shows with us, watch those in-depth breakdowns with us. Greatly appreciated. But dropping all that show, The Acolyte, in the midst of everything that you got going on there is crazy. It is madness. It is borderline one of the, I believe, silliest decisions that Disney could potentially make. You could fumble the bag so badly here. You spent so much money getting us into position to where we could even just talk about Star Wars The Acolyte. And I want to pull up more information on The Acolyte while I'm here. I mean, literally, I'm streaming to one individual, and thank you so much for sticking around for that. Greatly appreciate it. But we will continue to like look at this and see where this period is. The end of the High Republic. Why do we set it at the very, very end of the High Republic? Because that's such a weird time period to take apart at. Filming began in October of 2022, wrapped in early June of 2023. So a year later, post edit. Takes that long to get everything absolutely set up. Pretty solid cast for the most part. Everyone looks pretty good. I do not see anything about executive producer Kathleen Kennedy. There's nothing about Dave Filoni's hands on this, which gives me some level of pause. The writing on it will definitely be all over the place. They looked on of course, the original influence, they'll say, of George Lucas, just so they keep the fans happy, even though in reality, it's not really looked over by George Lucas anymore. He's just an executive at Disney. He's basically a stockholder. He just hangs out and collects checks. He has nothing to do with these projects anymore. I'm sure they don't even bother being like, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" Because God forbid they did, and their product continued to like get better and better and better. Filoni has done an amazing job with what he's been able to do, but there's nothing that's been exceptionally touched upon. Because the Headland did an interview about the writing for the Acolyte. She noted Acolyte is the earliest in the Star Wars timeline that we've ever been in live action, which, yeah, sure, true, correct. Why didn't we go further back? Her approach primarily again with brainstorming ways of challenge the status quo, found practice of Jedi training children strange. She began cognizant of fans' criticism of various plot elements, such as Darth Sidious's ascension to power without Yoda's knowledge, and wanted stuff to address this. And like, look, Sidious's rise to power was literally could have been stopped 2 or 3 times. Like he almost fumbled the bag before he even got to the moment in time where things were starting to like really, really, click. And sometimes where I think writers, and this is just a whole blanket statement, do with it what you will. I completely understand where you go with things. Let things be as they are. Writers want to create something new so dang badly. But at the same time, they want to use original material to do it. And let me explain. Take The Witcher, for example. Very, very well fleshed out universe. I mean, you have books, and I'm not just talking about like a little itty bitty book. I'm talking about like basically you have Bible sized books of just fleshed out universe, well written lore, well established characters. So everything is fleshed out to the umpteenth degree. And then we, hand it on over to a company like Netflix, who's done a great job with many, many adaptations. But with The Witcher, in some respects, they were like, yeah, we see what you have here, but we want to change this. It's like, why would you bother purchasing the right to something that you wanted to change? It's like when you date someone, you want to date them for all of their qualities. And let's be real, everyone has flaws top to bottom. It's just how it is. People have issues, people have things they're great at. People have their strengths, people have their weaknesses. It's like looking directly at someone's weaknesses and be like, I'm going to date you, but everything needs to change. And sure, some things fundamentally need to change, but it's like directly buying them or being with them just because I'm going to change this, and this about you. almost to the point where fundamentally it no longer resembles that person. And it's not about like change, it's not about growth. It's just like, I didn't like these qualities, so I'm going to go ahead and just wipe you out, change you for something brand new. And then once, the relationship is run its course, he's like, toss them out the window. That's what most writers do with original concepts nowadays, even with Avatar, which I think was a good live action adaptation. Don't come at me in the comments, or come at me in the comments. Is what it is. I had qualms about it. Aang never waterbended. Sokka was boring. Katara sucked at acting, but we asked for race accurate characters, age appropriate actors and actresses, and this is what you get. Sometimes you're going to get an all star acting like Zuko or Aang, or you're going to get Sokka and Katara who could not act their way out of a paper bag. It's it's going to be a mixed bag with things. People are going to be all over the place, sometimes good, sometimes bad. It just is what it is. Things can be great, sometimes things can be not so great. And realistically, it's kind of up to us as a community to let people know what we wanted. And with the writing that we have seen thus far in certain shows, and Disney's not the only one that does this, so don't think I'm criticizing Disney here. Disney has taken many, many great IPs, many great properties, things they didn't write, things they never could have written, and they turn them into timeless classics that anytime you say the words Beauty and the Beast, Snow White, and then you talk about other stuff like Hercules, is like these are great things that existed well before Disney was ever founded. But because they took an IP and they had good writing behind it, boom, new original concept that people like, oh yeah, the story of Hercules, this is how it goes, this is what happens. It's like, and you look at historically what everything's written down, no, most of that didn't happen. And in fact, Hercules is actually a tragic story. Hercules actually ends up in a fit of rage, destroying his whole family, and then just being a miserable, miserable human being near the end. So, spoiler alert on that one. But not all everything is a happy ending. But the writers want to make something so new by borrowing concepts from other things, but they don't know how to, and they just don't know how to execute it. And they don't know how to end it, and they don't know how to show something without telling something. And Avatar also kind of took a bit of a fall on that one. The writers sat down, and throughout, I want to say the first two episodes, the amount of exposition given or verbalization of the events that happened in this show, as opposed to the direct showing of something going on. And sure, sometimes you need to teach the lore to new people. People will come along and you need to re-educate them on what happened, because sometimes you, like me, and you haven't seen the show in like 5, 10 years. It's one of the classics and it's reared as one of the greatest shows of all time, but you just haven't watched it in a while. So then you kind of come back and you have to kind of be like, hey, this is what a waterbender is. This is a firebender. This is an earthbender. This is what they do. This is what they're about. You're the last airbender because the Fire Nation decided to fake sneak up on the Earth Kingdom and said went to the air temples and just wreaked havoc. Had a whole field day of just terrible, terrible events that occurred in this moment in time. So now they had to explain like this is that, this is that, and they kept trying to do like little homages, little pieces here, little pieces there that kind of like showed ultimately like what was going on in the status world and the status quo and how things were for the world of Avatar. But they spent more time talking about it than showing. It's like certain things at a certain point, everyone is smart enough or has intellectually enough knowledge to where they could have built a logical conclusion that, yeah, firebenders shoot fire, waterbenders shoot water. The Avatar wants to be able to earthbend, firebend, and waterbend at master levels so he can continue to have balance in the world. But Aang gets the extra duty of having to go the extra mile of stopping a basically amped up Fire Lord by the end of season 3. That's crazy. That's exciting. And the cartoon did an amazing job of giving us that information quickly and then taking its time building the world correctly so it didn't have to kill us with exposition. And we were children at the time that it released. It was a children's cartoon that ultimately a lot of people throw in like the anime character, like they throw Teen Titans in the anime category too, which it isn't because it was Americanized cartoon. So not not anime at all. Um, but it was a children's show. They didn't have to explain stuff. They just assumed that we were smart enough and we could keep up. And if we didn't know, we'd have a buddy, a friend, someone who'd be like, "Hey, I don't quite understand or grasp this concept. Why is Zuko so hell bent on reclaiming his honor? His dad's kind of a jerk. Like, why does he care?" And it's like, "Oh, he just wants to be viewed as an equal or as a peer in his father's eyes, and he wants to be seen as enough." And it's just children trying to live up to like getting their approval from their parents because deep down, every human being on some level wants approval from somebody or something, whether it be monetary value or emotionally. You want something from somebody to kind of give you that that feel good, that extra bit of validation. And he's seeking it from just unfortunately the wrong place at the time. And then through Iroh and the gang and all that good stuff, he ultimately learns about all the stuff his father's done, and that really ultimately you just need to choose to be your own person and surround yourself with people who can give you those things in a healthy and constructive manner. Because a father who gives you a flaming scar covering your eye is probably not probably not the best father figure. I'm just gonna go out on that limb, and then sure, we realize that Iroh, through everything he's been through, he's basically not a war criminal, but he's someone who has fought in war, lost his son in war due to tragic events, and he was at the forefront of the blame, but it changed him for the better. He realized his mistakes, his errors, who he was, and how he needed to grow from it. And I think the show, while doing a great homage to everything that the animated series had, may have kind of lost some of the impact that ultimately you'd have like in a later season when you've really gotten to know him, really got to hear about his son, some of the story, everything got going on. But there's a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily get covered. But yeah, I'm off on this tangent here. I definitely had I have issues with nowadays writing and how things are done. And that's kind of what gives me pause for X-Men 97. I think it's going to be great. Disney wouldn't spend the money to go acquire X-Men and drop the ball. Not the way that they did with Star Wars with The Force Awakens. And financially, it was a huge success. But from a critical perspective, a lot of people hated that film. I loved it. I loved it at the time of its inception, the time of the launch. I loved the story. I could literally in my head write the next two films. Hands down. It was easy. It wasn't difficult. It was a good time. I could piece out how Finn's story needed to be. I could cover how Rey needed to have her character to grow. Finn was going to be the ultimate Jedi in the end, and they were going to have a very healthy mutual romance, but he was going to be the force sensitive one that was stronger than Rey. And ultimately, my goodness, the mic decided to cut out, where ultimately we were able to have everything kind of go back together in a really, really constructive manner. You needed your characters who are good to radiate good, the characters who are evil to just be downright the worst human beings possible. And Hux was that for at least one of the films. Kylo was evil and cool for at least one of the films. But then, because there was no congruent writing or writing team, or kind of like even a rough draft of where the story was ultimately supposed to be, that with The Last Jedi, everything just got thrown out of motion. And I don't care who you hired. You could have hired George Lucas for the next one. But things were going to end terribly. There was nothing that can be done or established to fix what had happened. I don't care if The Last Jedi was remarkable. One story was here, one story was here. What you're supposed to do is go, great movie here, excellent movie here. A complete going of things in a positive manner, always building towards that climax of your franchise, because this was going to be that little tip of the iceberg, that little top of it, so to speak. So we had the prequels, which were, I think, were great, other than, some of the stuff that people always talk about, such as Jar Jar, and Lucas couldn't write a romance if his life depended on it. It wasn't his strength back in the originals. It's not his strength now. If he hired a romance writer, or like someone who could teach him how people's body language or just romantic writing works, probably would have been incredible, those first three films, because they still evoked a lot of emotion, a lot of power out of things, even with some downright terrible romance scenes that were unfortunately integral for the plot that was there. It's like, if you're not a good romance writer, I don't know why you'd write yourself into this box. But hey, when you are an established billionaire, you can kind of do certain things and take certain liberties and just, you know, hope and pray certain things work out. And at times, hey, it'll pan out for you. At others, man, you're just trying to shoot fish in a barrel here, and sometimes you shot a hole in the barrel and now the fish is out. So I don't know what to tell you. Certain things can go sideways for any number of reasons, and having stuff as poorly established non-congruently, and especially when you're spending like as many billions of dollars as you did, because I was thinking it was like what, $5 to $8 billion they spent to get the rights to Star Wars and everything involving it, just to ultimately recoup most of it in the first film. But then we're what, 12 years post that, we're probably 10 years post that, honestly, and they only have made 24 billion, and the first film alone I think made 6 billion in positive. So Star Wars has made them money, but if they handled the sequels correctly, imagine how nice they would be. When you talk to people who work for Disney or for Lucasfilms or do like the parks or whatever, they'll straight up tell you that the prequel stuff and the original stuff sells night and day better than the new stuff. It's just what it is right now. It doesn't connect with kids the way that Star Wars resonated with me as a child. I was quoting Star Wars when I was 4 and 5 to my parents. I would tell them I love you to the Death Star and back before it was destroyed. I don't know why the letter B would be where the letter D for destroyed would be, but hey, I was 4 or 5. Things were the way that it was, my friends. And having, just that nostalgic hit anytime that Star Wars theme hit, and you're like, holy cow, the sound station or the sound bar that you had, the Dolby surround sound would be just blaring out your eardrums, and you would just be holding on for dear life while THX yells at you the loudest of anything that's ever happened in your entire young adult or old adult life. It's just one of those nostalgic things with the slide scrolling entrance that we had to kind of establish the world, give you an update of where we're at in the timeline. And then next thing you know, boom, right in the action, ready to go. And you're having a good time with your friends. You're having a good time with your family. You're really just enjoying everything that you possibly can. And that's where things need to be. But with these sequels, you just don't have that nostalgia train running nearly as strong as you did. But I'm interested to see 5, 10 years from now how it will be remembered. Will something have come out to fix the sequels? Will Filoni found a way to mask the flaws, to mask the errors, to fix a lot of the problems that were ongoing with this, or are we still stuck with the way things were? It's not because like the prequels when the movies came out, people liked them or hated them. That's where things were established. But ultimately, because the Clone Wars came out, and because the Bad Batch came out, and because Star Wars Rebels came out, things have changed. And I know Rebels takes place well after everything, but having these events transpire within the gaps in the movies, filling in these pieces, building in your love for the characters, slowly establishing more for the world, and building towards something greater, things got better, things got stronger. You were able to really dive in to the prequels in a way that you weren't able to do so before. And for all of us, that's amazing. You want to be able to establish a world that not only you can fall in love with, for one, but for two, you're able to continue to learn more and more about it and educate your friends about things that are ongoing within this established universe. And the Clone Wars, the animated series, The Bad Batch, they were able to help fix a lot of the things that the prequels had done. Certain characters are irredeemable. That's going to be what it is. However, the hatred for the actors or the actresses who've been in those roles, I'm happy to see has changed. Star Wars fans, we are kind of known as a toxic community. We kind of battle back and forth between being very supportive, very loving, and very caring, and then destroying our intellectual property, our IP, to the point that you'd think we absolutely hate Star Wars to the umpteenth degree because we can't figure out where our loyalties lie. Are you a prequel kid? Are you an original kid? Are you a sequel kid? Like everyone wants to draw into a fan base, firmly root themselves in it, be like, this is the best Star Wars there is. Change my mind. And that's not necessarily how fandoms, I believe, should function. But I fall into the toxic Star Wars fan role all the time. I despise where the sequels went. The originals were good. They were great in the case of The Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi, I prefer personally more than I prefer The Empire Strikes Back. That being said, A New Hope is one of the films where if it comes on television, I'll go find something else to do. I understand people have great and powerful feelings about it. For me, it did jack nothing. It just wasn't there. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. I thought the pod racing scene was cool, and basically, when Darth Maul shows up, you have my full undivided attention because John Williams' score was phenomenal, and being in theaters when that second lightsaber came out and everyone's collectively losing their minds, like Joe Rogan at a UFC fight. Yeah, that's exciting stuff to have happen. I loved watching Attack of the Clones in theaters. And then Revenge of the Sith, I think, was probably the best third film out of any third film that's been made. But critically, people didn't really like it because, well, like I talked about earlier, the romance. The romance of the story, which is integral to the plot, didn't really size up well. He didn't match up to tons of things that we had going on here. And honestly, I would love to ask for the one viewer in chat, hey, how do you feel about the movies? Which film, you can just type a number if you will, was the one that resonated with you the most, that made you feel the strongest about? Which one really made you enjoy what you had going on with Star Wars? And right now, let's see what we got here. Sarcastic Geek, thank you for checking out the stream as usual. Got a 3 in there, so episode 3, yeah, Revenge of the Sith. Some of the strongest emotions attached to that one. And for me, with everything going on with the Star Wars Battlefront Classic, basically the re-release of the old games, the graphics are a little up to date, are a little updated, but like it's just the release of the same game, but you added pure assault on every planet, and then you made certain characters playable. that weren't originally playable before when you made the online multiplayer 64 player, even though your servers were horrifically inept and inadequate at the time of its release in order to do that. Okay, thanks for that. I'll definitely take a look at that, I guess. Not necessarily looking for boosting just viewership, but at the same time, like we're just trying to get the right people in and just people who are passionate about the fan base. Appreciate the feedback though, Lakinas 155 for that feedback. Just kind of here to build a nice little community where we can all chat, get along, hang out, have a good time talking about the things that we love, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, or something else entirely, because we have a lot of great content here to cover. Fan of many, many things, as you can kind of see in the background. Cover a lot of good stuff overall. Very passionate about the things that we do cover. We're covering Star Wars The Bad Batch tonight. X-Men 97 will be covered tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we'll be covering Invincible. Friday, Baldur's Gate 3, probably one of the last edited videos will be thrown up there. Potentially, my save file got all kinds of jacked up off my own error. It turns out it wasn't Larian whatsoever. So that was me. My bad, guys. And then Saturday, solo leveling. So we'll have a lot of good stuff ongoing here. So we'll be able to get all this great content out for you, the viewer, to enjoy. Likes, comments, subscribes, follows, all greatly appreciated. But of course, only do a call to action if you truly feel in your heart that you want to do something for either yourself or for the people that you are currently watching. Do not just blindly follow something because someone told you to, even if it's me, and I would greatly appreciate it. Do things because you truly believe in that quality of content. That being said, though, X-Men 97. How do you guys feel about X-Men 97? Because I just want to kind of get a quick little. Well, this one's out for you, Sarcastic Geek. I believe you're the only one in chat at this moment in time. How do you feel about the X-Men 97? Do you think the original is going to be better, or this one is going to at least live up to the hype? Just because the sense of replicating an original is difficult to do. That's where my kind of issues with the show could potentially lie. The OG one, yeah, the OG one is probably going to be night and day better. X-Men 92 tackled a lot of tough issues. It tackled a lot of big things going on. Sure, the last season, allegedly, because I watched, I want to say, bits and pieces of season 1 through 3. I didn't finish it. X-Men wasn't something that really resonated with me all that much. It talked more about pushing cultural issues, race issues, political issues, things ongoing in the world. And truth be told, I want equality for everybody and everything. But the minute you start talking politics, I am the first person who's out the door. There is nothing politically that interests me other than stuff that we could push or pass to help the betterment of everyone in society. And if we could all universally agree on what that would be anytime soon in my lifetime, would be fantastic. Will that happen? Yay or nay? Don't know. Kind of pessimistic about that. That being said, X-Men tackled all of these issues. They tackled it head on, and they had the freedom and the authority and autonomy to go ahead and do these things. With a parent company like Disney, who tends to be safe, tends to be more reserved, and really, really think out a lot of the issues and the ongoing struggles of today's day and age, the world, and everything that's ongoing in it, I think they're going to play it very, very safe and very close to the vest. And the X-Men do better when they're challenging tough issues, big issues, things that are insanely challenging to go ahead and just have out there. You want to have things that will ultimately be able to be addressed. And with a parent company that plays it safe in today's social and political climate, it kind of have to be. There's only so many stances that you can take on whatever perspective side you're on, whether it's here, there, over there, under there, everywhere. You have to be politically and socially in your lane to the umpteenth degree. And if you got an opinion that's very unpopular, next thing you know, boom, you're done. That's it. Everybody got to go. Canceling does work to some effect, but also canceling fails in some respects. Sometimes it draws so much attention to that one individual. Next thing you know, they are the bee's knees. They are the hot topic. They are the hot commodity. They are the people that everybody wants to talk about. They're the people that everyone wants to get an interview with. They want to have a sit down with so and so because they'll say something really divisive and draw viewership up. We saw that happen when, Cat Williams was interviewed by Shannon Sharp. He was saying controversial things. He was saying crazy things. He was saying unpopular opinions. He had hot takes that were hotter than hot. But people are drawn to that because in today's climate and in today's society, people are in their box. You stay in your box, you stay in your lane, you play it safe, you play it as safely as possible. And with X-Men 97, the X-Men have never been what you call politically safe. They're not verbally safe. They were all about standing out. They're all about change. They're drawing out all the big diverse issues into one universe and drawing direct attention to it and how to better from that moment in time. And having that moment in time being corroborated with the issues that they faced at the time. Because look, you can say whatever you want about certain characters, but Professor X and Magneto were directly based on Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Both can be viewed as divisive in some sense. Both stood for so many great things in certain respects. How they went about things, people always have an opinion on. And having those two characters be your foundational roots for the Professor X and Magneto, and you basically view the entire X-Men as Professor X and Magneto used to be in a relationship and then they broke up and now they're making it everybody else's problem. That is the X-Men to me in summary. But because of how many issues they tackled, how they addressed things, how things played out, the action involved in it, the drama in it, the inner relationships that were built in it, it is so, so much more. But for me as a kid, when I was, watching cartoons growing up, it was Batman the animated series, it was Gargoyles, it was watching stuff like Samurai Jack, Ed, Edd n Eddy. Anything with a good amount of action in it, I was usually watching it. Like Dragon Ball Z, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. He wrote the OG Godfather of anime, who helped, bring things popular in the West, and he basically put Toonami on the map. And Toonami was a huge gateway for a lot of people to become anime fans. Thank you so much for doing something like that. And we were able to grow up with a lot of great shows with a lot of great action. I wasn't really here for giant political statements or how to be in front of this or talk about this or deep, deep issues. I was like 5 to 10, I was just kind of like, yeah, I really like sports and I really like things that have like sword fights and explosions and, all that good stuff. But to have anything else ongoing, definitely more of a wild time. You wanted to keep things in a certain light, in a certain way, in a certain frame, in a certain mindset. And I think X-Men 97 is going to have a very, very tough time fitting itself and aligning itself in a window where you're able to accurately and concretely put together a universe that fits everything the X-Men stand for with today's social climate. People are already having pushback on characters they haven't actually seen on screen for this series yet. I'm hoping they do the original justice because as a geek, you want all content across the board unilaterally be good. I don't care whether it's Marvel or it's DC or it's an anime I don't watch. If something is good, we'll go out of our way to try and cover it for you, the viewer, because the viewers tend to flock to good shows and good products. There's tons of great products out there. Like, say, for Star Wars Theory puts out the best Star Wars content on the internet. It is not up for debate. That is not an opinion. That is fact. The guy has been doing this for over 10 years now and doing it at a high level for over 10 years. When you go to watch a live stream of Star Wars content, people always be like, well, what did Theory say about it? It's not like, hey, what did the community say about it? It's always, what did Theory say about this show? That goes to show you the level of power and respect that this man has. If you go to talk about, say, Naruto, you go online, you go on YouTube, you find NC Hammer 23. In my opinion, he makes the best Naruto shows out there. And honestly, he talks about some of the greatest topics and so in depth with such lore, such passion, such integrity that if you didn't like that character beforehand, or you hated this character beforehand, he can swing you one way or the other and do it with not only facts, but sometimes an opinion that he has based upon with so much fact that you have no choice but to sit there and be like, you know what? I get it. I understand where you're going with this. I may not agree with you, but everything you've laid out is so good and so concrete. I can say, hey, your opinion is fantastic on this matter. It's like talking with Tony, one of our admins, he talks X-Men like you wouldn't believe. He talks comics like you wouldn't believe. He can talk football like you wouldn't believe. For a while, we had a sports podcast going, and we may at some moment in time can bring that back. You never know. But when he talks football, you shut up and you listen. I know a thing or two about football. I'm very passionate about football. I have an entire shelf dedicated to football. That being said, if you told me anything about college football, I'm just going to roll my eyes at you and tell you I don't care until we get to the playoffs. And then I'll look up, see who's going to be really, really good, who's going to be really, really bad, who's historically good, and who historically sucks. And then make a judgment based off that and then worry about the draft. Because all I care about is professional football. College football is a business, has been, will continue to be, and people have been getting paid long before this new deal came out for them. People have been getting money under the table for a long, 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 long time. But the fact that they're just drawing now light to it and being like, yeah, we're now paying you. This is nothing new. It's just ensuring that each and every Joe Schmo who goes to college for athletics, which everyone should get a college degree from that for free because of their ability to do their respective sport at a high level, but also should be able to make money off their name, likeness, and image. Because let's be honest, I think it's like 3% of athletes who start middle school sports and will ever make it to college. Then that number from college going pro in their respective sport is like 0.01. And those who excel at their professional sport once they get there is 0.0001. The numbers continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So what you should do is make as much money as you can along the way, because say you're only going to peak in college, which is still an exceptional athlete, you should be able to get paid right then and there off your namesake, your likeness, your image, do brand deals, make good things happen not only for yourself here, set yourself up for when you get out of college, you have a little bit of insurance money, and you'd be able to have that rainy day fund for, like, say, if you wanted to kickstart a business, or you wanted to invest in this, or put some money towards your mom for a house here because she did all these sacrifices for you just to get to this moment that you're at, or your dad, or whoever. You'd be able to take care of the people that mean something to you, that matter to you, that have a deep, deep connection with you, or have helped you in a strong way. Like, say, you pay back your high school or your high school coach, whatever the case may be. I believe each and every individual should be able to monetize their namesake in some respect. Part of being someone who is on, like a YouTube, or like a Twitch, or who does TikToks, whoever the case may be, people should be able to make money if they're good at what they do. And in a certain respect, some people kind of like luck their way forward. Like, they just have a certain look. They got the right friend. They got the right thing going for them. But there's also nothing wrong with doing it the hard way, blood, sweat, and tears, where you're literally have built a strong channel of people that care about your content. But sometimes they're just not available to be with you at certain moments in time. Like, sometimes you'll just be streaming to yourself for hours on end. with nobody watching, nobody caring. But does that change the quality of product you're going to put out? It shouldn't. If you really truly care about what you're doing and the people that can receive your product, you put out your highest energy, your highest effort, no matter what it is. I don't care if you specialize in making the greatest Sailor Moon content out there. Go do it. Go be amazing. I want each and every content creator to get their bag. Big, small, medium, indifferent. This whole social media platform, it's just beginning. It's going to continue to get bigger, and the audiences are going to continue to get more and more and more and more educated and enthralled in each and every little thing you do. And each and every day you put towards building something that you care about, something you're passionate about, is a day well spent. We don't know when things will be done. We don't know when things will just blow up overnight. You just don't know. All you know is you put your heart and your soul and your energy into things you're passionate about, whether it be the people you love, whether it be the work that you do, whether it be your hobbies on the side, whatever the case may be. We in Geek Variants implore you to put yourselves into each and everything you do to the utmost of your ability. And this tangent came largely out of nowhere, so I do apologize for getting a bit on a proverbial soapbox. But again, sometimes you just kind of feel like letting your heart out and your soul out a little bit, even if it's to like nobody and no thing. Everyone is important, and I want each and every person to like be able to look back at certain moments in time and be like, hey, on this stream right here, you really resonated with me, you really connected with me. I wasn't there live, but I was there after the fact, and I appreciate the quality and heart that you put into what you do. I appreciate stuff like that. It was like, I don't do YouTube or Twitch or anything to make money. I do it because I'm passionate about the products that are out there. And I want to hang out with fellow adults or fellow teenagers who are geeks online. Online only, just so everyone is aware. Just so we can sit in here in a chat room and be like, hey, what did you think about X-Men 97? What did you think about the new DC reboot? How do you think that's gonna go? How do you feel about Star Wars The Bad Batch about to drop in like 3 minutes? Don't know. Really excited. Really looking forward to it. Hoping it's another great episode. This series or this season has easily been the best season that's been out there for this content. It's been a real blessing to be able to be part of just even a Twitch community, just slowly growing, slowly building up, and trying to get better and better each day. I'm not that good of a Twitch streamer. There are tons of people who are miles better, and probably will be way more entertaining than I'll ever be. That being said, I'm still gonna be here working on my stuff, trying to get better for each and every one of you who hit a follow button, who hit a subscribe button, who wants to just come and hang out with us. Because like last week we were popping. There was tons of good stuff going on with the community. And tonight's a lot more quiet. And honestly, that's fine. Sometimes you have great nights with the Twitch community. Sometimes it's more of a quiet night. So far, it's been kind of a quiet night. We got the Bad Batch here dropping in about 2 minutes. Go ahead and watch that. I can't put it on screen for legality issues, but I can sit down and be like, hey, I just started episode 1. Do you guys want to go ahead? Well, episode 8 will be dropping. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's see how things are doing involving that. Let's have our night together, kind of enjoy ourselves, have some chats, see how things go. X-Men 97 is going to be huge for so many people. Honestly, it's probably going to be where the primary viewership is. And honestly, I don't blame everybody. And if Disney Plus crashes, I would also not be shocked. Disney is a phenomenal company. Their streaming services have never failed me. Things have been exceptionally strong on their end. When they made a product, they put their heart, money, and soul exactly where their mouth is. Sometimes I just don't like the product, but as far as the streaming service is concerned, aces. 10 out of 10. Nothing bad to say. But X-Men 97 is huge. So does it have the potential to crash the site? You bet it does. And while I'm sitting here waiting for Bad Batch, we could potentially see in the next couple of minutes the whole Disney Plus site just go on down, just because that's the way the cookie crumbles on certain things. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes things are phenomenal, sometimes not so much. So basically, just slamming that refresh button, hoping for the episode to drop. So we got something to talk about, guys. We can get this episode ongoing. Part of me wanted to stream the X-Men 97 on it, but hey, Bad Territory did drop. Let's go ahead. I'm going to write down the name of the episode because whenever I do these recaps on the episodes, I always like to have the name in the title. Makes it easier for everyone to come and hang out with us on that regard. Disney's advertising X-Men 97 during this. Good for them. The bounty hunter that they're going to talk about is going to be Asajj Ventress. I know they're going to say Fennec, but it's going to lead to Asajj. Calling it now. Interesting space station. Looks like a galactic hub of some variety. Hmm, fun bar. Is that Greedo? Killed someone for a bottle just to get whacked. That has to be Greedo that's sitting there talking to Fennec right now. Making friends wherever they go. Mm. Right now, like a tail between his legs. Watching episode 8 currently, if you've just joined. Most people will be watching X-Men 97 right now. Is it Ventress? I don't think they were necessarily looking for payment if they technically get out of payment by doing this. It's more of a nerve thing at this point. It's like psychological issue. Sensitive subject. Sensitive subject. But again, if I was a torture victim for God knows how many months, yeah, I would have a strong opinion on that as well. And also, they're showing Fennec ship, so they can go ahead and try and sell toys of it and stuff pertaining to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So just clear the air on that one. No, Not Asajj Ventress. I thought that was going to lead to Asajj. For sure. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Anytime you get Ming Na Wen voicing anything, gonna be a great episode. Currently watching episode 8 of The Bad Batch right now. Can't post it on screen for legality reasons, but it's up there. Still checking chat if anyone wants to talk. I love those little mechs. They're so much fun. They're never really good at their job, but I mean, they try hard and hits that nostalgic feel just right. Mm. Well, this might be your second attempt at capturing this potential foe. Using old pod racer parts to push things forward. Quite a few mines. I want the whole river to go boom. The joy of working with smart bounty hunters. Just have to go one by one by one. They're basically sitting ducks in that position. I wonder if Crosshair's hand will ever actually heal. Mm. Snipers have to be precise. Never do. The reluctant stepdad. Crosshair. Oh, that's a problem. It's a really big problem. Oh, oh, that's new. Wrecker is literally like your buff uncle from Florida, literally punching gators. Fantastic. Huh? Checks and bounce. Are they being watched yet? It's like the show Swamp People. There's always more out there than what you would expect. This episode so far has been a little bit slower than the traditional ones, but rather enjoyable all around anyway. Liking what I'm seeing so far. But now things are about to get extra spicy because we're going to be covering someone who's able to hide and evade this well in danger area this dangerous. They have to be strong in some variety. Ah, yep. It's like an alien praying mantis. That's a no from me, dog. That is a no from me. I do not. I don't do that at all. Praying mantises and snakes, both nopes, big nopes. So far, good find. Cleaning them out basically one at a time. Oh, he just basically annihilated Wrecker. Oh dear. He went underground and popped back up on the outside. This is a smart freaking bounty hunter to have all this enabled. Make his getaway as great as possible. Oh, he just took a stun blast right to the face and was like, nah, that ain't gonna do nothing for me. Fantastic. Got to love it. Okay. Oh, that's bizarre. He throws up poison. It took four stun blasts to take him out, but normally stun blasts take out like Jedi in one or two. We're not gonna bind Bug Boy's hand or feet because I think that could be a problem. Just so everyone's clear. I wonder if they will heal Crosshair through meditation. Went through psychological torture for months, but meditation. Hopefully, this has a positive effect for them. At least he gets his. Because no point in having a sniper who's inaccurate, you know? Seems like a complete waste of time. Hmm. So, this mission came up big old deuce. Big old negative. But will Fennec sell out this information to her buyer? That's always going to be something that's going to be interesting for a debate. Because the fact that they're showing her means things are about to get interesting. And she double crossed them. Love it. And a part of me is curious, see how they at least made X-Men 97 look. X-Men. Oh, this is the old one. Where's X-Men 97? Because that should have. Yep, it's already up. Yeah, X-Men 97. They already got 2 episodes, both about half-hour long. Definitely curious, kind of see how that goes. Might just watch just from a casual viewing standpoint, just seeing if everything is good as like the originals were. This episode of Bad Batch was definitely a slower one, but is going to be more instrumental towards the plot than anything else. Because now we have Fennec, who has given up the boys' information. Says someone who's easy to track, someone she's willing to work for, which only person she's willing to work for is someone who's either willing to pay her exceptionally more or is exceptionally stronger than her, who reports to either her buyer or someone higher up there. And ultimately, the only person that would be, in my mind, would be Massage Ventress, who we have yet to see on screen yet, and definitely something that could be particularly interesting for how things play out. The review on this episode will be up shortly. If anyone in chat wants to watch X-Men 97, I'll have it playing off screen potentially if you guys want me to go ahead and do that, or I'll get right to the review. Call's entirely yours. You guys in chat kind of control where we're going to go with this night. Be sure to just leave a comment in which one you want. Option 1, watch X-Men 97. So just put 1 in chat if you want X-Men 97. Press 2 in chat if you want me to go ahead and just get straight to the Star Wars review. We'll call it a night and let our geek expert, Tony, cover all things X-Men 97 tomorrow. I did not watch most of the originals. I watched, I want to say, like 2.5 seasons of it, but it wasn't something that really stuck with me or resonated with me. It's a classic animated series. I'm not saying anything poorly about it. I was a kid when it came out. Didn't really do much for me. I was born in 93. The show ended in 96, which is why they're calling the show X-Men 97 as the continuation of everything that had gone on. So definitely something that's amazing out there for a lot of people. Definitely something that's worth checking out. I'm shocked Disney played as seamlessly as it did. Considering the chat is basically still. We have no votes, either yay or nay, as far as X-Men 97 is concerned, because I can't show it on screen for legality reasons, for any number of reasons. Last thing you want to do is go to war with Disney. Disney's legal team will destroy you for any number of reasons, just because that's Disney hires the best. And that's exactly what could happen. So it looks like we have these episodes set up. Nothing in chat probably in the next 2 minutes. Then I'll go ahead and we'll just kind of work on wrapping up. This episode of the Bad Batch was pretty good, in my opinion. Probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'd say last week's episode was more entertaining overall. There was some decent action throughout. It took forever, in my opinion, to get to it. But the very end of the episode had enough going on in the plot to be an integral episode, something that we can't skip, something that is unnecessary. It'll be something that's going to continue to play out, and Star Wars fans and other content creators out there will be out there for sure in numbers, speculating in numbers about who she was talking to, why she would sell them out, and the options are all going to be the same. Fennec has and will continue to be a bounty hunter through and through. Money talks. If someone's able to give her more money than the people that she's loyal to, she'll continue to do that. She doesn't really soften up until we had, the Book of Boba Fett, which, is a well down the line from where we're at in this established lore. So she hasn't had her change of heart yet. She hasn't become a little bit softer. Loyalty is big to her, but at the same time, loyalty ain't everything. Loyalty does not pay your bills. So she's just going to continue to do what she believes is best for herself, for her mission, and ultimately we're still getting closer and closer episode by episode to getting Asajj Ventress, which the fans are up in arms about, either yay, nay, negative, positive, whatever the case may be. They're looking for just something, maybe anything that could ultimately have an impact on getting things done. I want to say I don't want to say correctly, but doing the character justice, because there is not necessarily a correct way. Star Wars fan here, we're a divided community, my friend. Some of us want this, some of us want this. There's not a lot of compromise in the middle area. It's not really one of our strengths as a community, is finding common ground. I think the only common ground we have right now is that we don't like what Kathleen Kennedy has done with Star Wars. That's probably it. And we were all very happy that Dave Filoni was given a shot to be the chief creative officer to make some great things happen. And you can definitely see that his hands have sprinkled in a little bit of Filoni magic with what we have ongoing with the Bad Batch. He helped make the Clone Wars as amazing as it was, and he took everything he learned from George Lucas to heart and has done an exceptional job with the products he's been a part of, because the Ahsoka series was absolutely amazing. If you disliked it, you probably disliked it for the fact that Sabine was far stronger than she should have been, which is facts. That's probably your main qualm with things, other than Ezra seemed a lot like a side character as opposed to something that was more integral to what was going on. So once again, I'm going to leave this up to the chat to decide. Thanks for everyone who's been watching this far. We're just hopped on. If you want me to watch X-Men 97, give my live feedback of that. Put a 1 in the chat. If you want the review for the episode number 8, Bad Territory, for the Bad Batch, press 2 and I'll get started on that review, because either way I'm going to be up, just had an energy drink, going to get things done in some regard and some capacity for the channel, because there's so much great content coming out there. We are going to be busy. I mean, by busy, I mean we are going to be balls to the wall. Today is Bad Batch. Tomorrow is X-Men. Well, technically today now, X-Men 97. The day after that's Invisible. The day after that, Baldur's Gate 3 footage will be put up on that I've already started working on editing. Saturday, solo leveling. Sunday, I may have some streaming done here on Twitch or on YouTube for Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, because they said they've made some changes, said they've made some improvements. So I'm willing to listen to Aspir and see what they've got going on there and see at least what it is. It was my childhood nostalgia game. Like Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2 were my jam. I was ranked in Battlefront 2 for a while online because I was pretty decent, and it came out at a time where, online gaming was pretty easy for me. I was a teenager who wasn't yet obsessed with girls or was too busy with sports. It was just that perfect time frame to get good at something and try and dominate it the best way that I possibly could, and was something that I enjoyed nearly as much as I did. Made it really, really just easy to make happen and to get things going in any number of capacities. So probably be doing that Sunday, and then Monday we'll probably have another surprise video for you guys dropping. And then we just have tons of content coming out, because like if you look at, like, I have a calendar ongoing. Each and every day is packed to the max. Later on this week, Dragon's Dogma 2 drops. Still working on potentially trying to secure some funds to get that ongoing. Couldn't really live stream it just because of there's no ability to turn off the nudity filter on it. It's not like Baldur's Gate 3 where you can kind of make sure certain things are blocked. And even when you do have the filter on to ensure that you don't show nudity, sometimes it still does happen. And if you're on YouTube or Twitch, then obviously, boom, snap your fingers, gone. Quick ban, see you later, won't think twice about it. They'll just continue to move on. They've ran their business a very honest and upfront way. The next week, Godzilla versus Kong drops. That's going to be crazy to go take a look at. Week after that, we have Fallout dropping on Amazon. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime also drops on the 5th. On the 11th is Fallout. 13th, Kaiju number 8, which is going to be a sleeper anime that's going to sneak up on a lot of people. I read the manga for it. Fantastic, worth a read. If you like Godzilla vs. Kong, Kaiju number 8 is entirely up your alley as an anime. Or even if you like Chainsaw Man, it's also right up your alley. And then Rebel Moon Part 2 drops on the 19th, which they just put a new trailer out. Hopefully, it's better than Part 1, because Part 1 was booty cheeks in all of the worst possible way. It was just hard to watch. The story was incongruent. Sometimes certain directors shouldn't be able to write scripts. They should just hire people other than their wife to write their script for them. And there's no problem with having your wife write your script. If she's an amazing screenwriter, have at it. But unfortunately, Zack Snyder's particular missus could not write at all worth a lick. And the quality very much reflected in that part one. The universe was cool. Just we were popcorning all over the place in the worst possible manners. And the story made little to no sense, even though you had a great cast. Whoever did the casting, hats off to you. Whoever did the makeup, hats off to you. Whoever did the CGI, hats off to you. Whoever did the story, why? Why'd you bother? Why would you spend your time, money, energy, and effort on creating this? But that is what it is. Sometimes people love your content, sometimes people hate your content, and you're just gonna have to accept that certain things are the way that they are. So we have tons of great stuff coming for you. If you're not already subscribed to the channel or following the channel, depending on which service you're on, be sure to do so if you want to keep up with all that great style of content. Most of the content is on YouTube. We're also doing more of a push to get some kind of Twitch content out there, kind of build slow following. We want to have a passionate community that loves Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, that kind of stuff. Talk about what you love with people that you want to be around. Try and build that solid core community where we can just talk about things that we thoroughly enjoy and things you're passionate about in a good environment, which, the internet, sometimes things are great, sometimes they're not so much. The internet was great to me today because at Star Wars The Acolyte, I had the time frame wrong for when the entire show dropped, and I made a very, very passionate short on the YouTube channel, and that went on to TikTok that I garnered somewhere around I think it was like a combined like 1,000 people watching. Only one person was kind enough to correct me on when things were done, but they did so in such a manner that I was greatly appreciative of everything they did. Because, look, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm diehard passionate about all things Star Wars, but sometimes I'm not right. And quite frankly, this was one of those moments in time where I was just out in left field, talking out the wazoo in the wrong direction because I was so hyped from the trailer. I just lost frame of mind and misspoke. So, hey, happens to the best of us. Just how you move on from it. Talk about things you're passionate about, and then sometimes you just got to take your licks, take that L. It just is what it is. Well, I'm here. People seem to be hanging out, seems to be holding steady at about 3 viewers. So let's go ahead and start X-Men 97 because I'm here. I'm curious. Just want to see where things go with this. For our boy Tony to cover, but I a novice review because I have watched, 2.5 seasons of the original, and there were 5. So clearly, my opinion should be weighted significantly less than his. Just seeing a continuation of a classic will always be something that's interesting for me. Updated the chat to reflect that. Or trying to, anyway. Oh, apparently I can't. Nope, it's completely locked in. It just kind of is what it is. Well, let's see how this X-Men 97 pans out. hopefully it is good. That is a heck of an energy blast. I am beast. We'll finish episode one. We're gonna call this a wrap. So far, I'm not really feeling what they're throwing down. Wolverine sounds like a pirate captain. More of a scripted that they have to do hero poses every time. Hmm. Just got a few sentinels. You know, if I was a human that was dealing with mutants this way and seeing what they can do here, you're both impressed and a little worried. Just happy that she's on the good side of things. That's kind of cool, actually. Hmm. Maybe just run there in his park. Shooting his shot. Shooting his shot. Hmm. This show is interesting. Hmm. Magneto. Huh, everything made in Magneto's vision. That'd be interesting. Um, but let's just put things in perspective. I didn't watch the original, so it doesn't have the same nostalgic hit. You'll have to wait for Tony's expert analysis tomorrow for an actually good and or solid opinion on the X-Men '97. But I seem to enjoy it well enough from a casual perspective. Be sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button or the follow button if you're on Twitch, checking out what we got ongoing. We got Star Wars Bad Batch today, which I'm about to go and finish the review of. X-Men '97 will be coming a bit later today slash tomorrow, just because of the weird time frame we're at. Invincible will be dropping on Thursday. Friday will be Baldur's Gate. Saturday, Solo Leveling, and Sunday we'll have probably some Twitch gaming for you, the viewer. So follow, like, comment, dislike, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Greatly appreciated. Helps in any way, shape, or form. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight, even though it's been kind of a quieter chat than most normal nights. I'm assuming there's a lot going on this week. People are getting busy and crazy around the clock, so totally get it, totally understand. Thank you for your time.